My parents are sick of my random facts. Spinosaurus. Our understanding of what Spinosaurus was has changed a lot over my roughly 2 decades of living. It started off as just a dinosaur with a skin flap full of bones. Then paleontologists went, oh fuck, this thing actually swims. So they stuck it in water and gave it the ability to swim. And I could have sworn that I read an article where they said that Spinosaurus had more of a whale body type, but I can't seem to find that article. All I can find is a study from 2022 confirming they hunted underwater for their prey, which I thought we already knew. Like, this fact was on Dinosaur Train when I was in elementary school. And I think a more whale-like body makes sense for this creature. I mean, if you look at a whale or orca skeleton and Spinosaurus fossils, you can see a similarity. The Spinosaurus just has a more pronounced back. It's like those pre-dolphins who still had hind legs. Kind of. Anyways, tampons. They can kill you. I mean, like, this isn't new or shocking information. Many of my AFAB friends know about this. It's called toxic shock syndrome, and there's a 50-50 chance of your school teaching it to you in sex ed. It mostly depends on where in America you are. If you use tampons, just educate yourself on how to use them and be careful. Like, don't grip it and rip it out of your body. The spleen and immune system. It actually has a function. I learned this in my immunology class. It is a blood reservoir, and it is like another kidney, but instead of piss and blood filtration, it is just blood filtration. I think it's neat. And antibodies don't kill anything. They flag the pathogen to be killed by the cells that actually do the killing, like white blood cells. Very cool. Frankenstein. Mary Shelley wrote this when she was like 18 years old. She was at a party in Switzerland with other authors, including Lord Byron, and they were like, ooh, let's write ghost stories! And Mary Shelley went, okay, and then proceeded to write Frankenstein. Please know that there's a lot more to the story, and if you're interested, go Google it. Like, Drunk History has a whole segment on this. The actual composition of Frankenstein is really cool, at least to me. It's told through the perspective of Robert Walton in letters to his sister. On his journey, he finds Victor Frankenstein. Frankenstein then tells Walton his life story, and Walton relays it all in letters to his sister. It sucks for her, but it's interesting for me. And modern adaptations of Frankenstein seem to have missed the original text. The creature wasn't dumb. He framed a woman for murder, and he got away with it too because Victor Frankenstein stayed silent during her trial and execution. Absolute prick. The only modern adaptation of Frankenstein that I enjoy is Frankenstein the Musical. It's also my favorite musical, and I think people should listen to it more. Taxation without representation. I live in America, the land of the quote-unquote free, and something that has confused me since like middle school is America's slogan of taxation without representation. We proudly throw this around and say that we ended it back in 1776, but we didn't. Like, non-citizens living in America are taxed, but they cannot vote in elections. This is taxation without representation. And for a long time, women and people of color couldn't vote despite being taxed. People are still trying to take away voting rights from people of color. But I've taken history classes in AP Gov, and I can tell you that the without representation also meant that they weren't being represented in British government. If you look at who we have as our elected officials, most of them are white. The Supreme Court, the branch of government Twitter tried to cancel, is mostly old and white. I think that is fucked. The Supreme Court is like that anime character who does nothing, but then sometimes pulls out a super OP move that either helps or kills the protagonist. Also, they can't die. Supreme Court judges serve for life or as long as they want. It is extremely difficult to remove one. So you would think that the Supreme Court would be full of people who represent America and don't have 3 weeks left to live. But no. So taxation without representation continues. The Minion movie. They didn't serve Hitler, stop saying that they did. In the Minion movie, they only served the BBEG until Napoleon. That is because they accidentally shoot him with a cannon and then get chased by the French into the Arctic. They stay there until like the 1970s when they go to New York. Then they go to Orlando, Florida and meet Scarlet Overkill and her incredible husband Herb. They go to Florida because the villain convention is held there because of course it is. Interestingly, Richard Nixon is in the crowd of the convention because yeah, he was a crook. I don't remember if there were any other presidents in the crowd, so like, don't ask. But yeah, the Minions could not have served Hitler or Stalin. Stop making these jokes. They aren't funny. Get new material. Herb. I love Herb. He's Scarlet Overkill's husband and is an absolute king. He just supports his wife. He adores his wife. And he has a groovy little suit and haircut. He's just a cool dude. All he does is stand around, love his wife, and make gadgets for her to do villainy with. Trans surgeries. Boob removal costs roughly $10,000. It can be less. Vaginoplasty, male to female bottom surgery, costs the same amount, if not $10,000 more. Female to male bottom surgery, however, costs a lot more. That's because it is more difficult, but also we as a society are more used to doing vaginoplasties because male to female surgery has been done for ages on children born intersex. So yeah, that's what's been on my mind lately. At least the stuff I could squish into a paragraph or two. Have a nice day.